I remember when that time, when I went to that river, I was so confused because I was just asking them what is not happening. They don't want to give me answers. Then they told me, you know what, Mama, your kid is dead.
The last thing a parent or anybody who's gone through loss wants to hear you or from anyone is, you know, in time you'll be fine and you'll get over it.
Sometimes there's blame, especially when you do not understand the cause.
In this special Women's Day episode, we turn our attention to a subject that is often spoke about in harsh tones: child loss. It is a grief so profound, so deeply personal, that many struggle to find the words to express it. Today, we share the journey of a mother who has endured the unimaginable, losing not one, but 3 children over the years. Through her story, we seek to understand the depths of this pain, the resilience it takes to keep moving forward, and the silent battles many women face. Joining us are a counseling psychologist and a clinical psychologist who will help us unpack the emotional and psychological toll of child loss. This is a conversation of sorrow, strength, and hope, one that sheds light on the silent suffering of so many, while honoring the love that never fades.
I'm Irene Wambui Mwoni, married to Nahashon Mwoni, and a mother of 3 kids. My hubby was working at Kakamega. He is a policeman. That is when 2010 I got the pregnancy of my first kid, Dazot Masharia Mwoni. The life there in Kakamega, it was tough a bit, so we had to relocate in Nairobi. In 2012, I got another pregnancy, and the time that I was delivering my first kid, I got hernia.
The doctors advised Irene to wait for 5 years before conceiving again, as the hernia could negatively affect her pregnancy. She, however, got pregnant before the 5 years lapsed.
It came at that time. Now pregnancy is here, what can I do? So we were just there, just praying God that I shall be well, but it was not well with us. In fact, after 4 months, the pregnancy, it didn't develop. Now the second born is here. He has just gone like that. It was a really tough journey of us together with my hubby, remembering that I was still young.
The grief a woman experiences after losing a child is profound, complex, and deeply personal. It is not just the loss of a baby, it is the loss of dreams, hopes, and a future that was imagined but never realized.
My name is Dr. Prashna. I'm a clinical psychologist here at MP Shah. No matter when you lose your child, whether it's at 9 weeks or 13 weeks, or sometimes you've had a stillborn baby, or you've had a baby who you've given birth to and has had some sort of medical condition that will be difficult for that child to survive for any long term. Your first stage is grief, then it's failure.
After the heartbreaking loss of her second baby, Irene waited for a while before conceiving again. Only this time, the outcome was even more devastating.
No, through that, we stayed for a little bit. Then I got another pregnancy. Through that journey, I didn't know what happened. I don't know whether I was overworking. I was 7 months. I remember I went to Kenyatta Hospital and I was going to do an ultrasound. When the ultrasound was done, I was told it was emergency. They cannot break the news just like, now your kid is dead. No, it was a tough journey for me. And I remember when that time, when I went to that river, I was so confused because I was just asking them what is not happening. They don't want to give me answers. Then they told me, you know what, Mama, your kid is dead. Oh, let me tell you, it was so tough. It was so tough because they were to induce me and I was to just give birth like a normal person who have the baby is alive. I remember crying, asking God questions, just remembering that I'm pushing something that I won't see.
Sometimes there's blame, especially when you do not understand the cause. Ordinarily, when something goes wrong as a human being, you will tend to self-blame yourself. But most of the time, they go through the grief process or stage where sometimes you are in denial, you're angry, mixed emotions.
I had a patient last week who had to have terminate her pregnancy because if the baby had been born, there was no viability. And they chose not to go through it. And she has a 5-year-old. So she already knows that she can have children. So her first thought was, what did I do differently? And why did I why could I not have this child to term? And why do I feel like I'm a failure? And there's some things that you just cannot explain.
The grief of losing a child is an unimaginable pain, one that lingers in the deepest parts of a mother's soul. For many women, it is not just sorrow, but a profound, life-altering devastation that reshapes their sense of self. The weight of loss is often accompanied by an unbearable sense of emptiness, an aching void where hopes and dreams for that child once lived.
So from the firstborn, I have lost 2. Now we came to 2017. I got pregnant again. I gave birth to a baby girl. She's called Favor Wanjiro. We celebrated and we thank God. He even wiped away our tears. Now our cry, it turned to joy.
Let's say you lose the baby and then you're blessed with another child. You'll remember the loss. But once you have another child, I think even if you don't fully recover, but it gives you the joy to be a mother again.
Losing a baby can lead to deep depression, marked by overwhelming grief, guilt, and isolation. But with the right support, therapy, and understanding, healing and hope are possible.
You've got to be able to identify when it's pure grief and when it's grief with depression. The first thing to look out for is drastic mood change. Obviously, this is somebody, either your partner or your siblings or your parents would firstly immediately be the ones to recognize. Are you having sudden anger bursts? Are you isolating? Are you not taking calls? Are you actually not even just getting out of bed? Those are some of the signs that you would look out for in depression.
There's this general fatigue. You don't even have the motivation to wake up. Before you wake up, your sleep patterns and eating patterns are disturbed. Then also, there's a sense of hopelessness.
I remember I went even into depression. I was just asking God some questions. God, now what is this? Remember what I've passed through. Remember, I don't know whether it is attacks or what. I was just like, oh God.
Some people have even shopped, depending with the stage of the pregnancy. You've even shopped, you've known the sex of the baby. So it becomes more traumatic, especially in terms of, especially if it's more advanced.
The clothes are there for your baby. They're also nearly there. You had bought so much for him. And I remember even in the house it was so tough for me. You don't want to give out the clothes. As if you're seeing as if you want to give something. Yani, you'll make as if even you're also confused yourself.
Over the years, Irene realized that her firstborn Daswat was not growing as expected, a concern that doctors later confirmed. This discovery came in the midst of her heartbreaking journey of losing 2 babies.
I remember through that journey we also started the clinic for my firstborn son, Daswat, because it reached a time when we saw that he is not growing. He's just being fat. Now we had to go and confirm what is not happening. And I remember we went to Gertrude. He was done some tests, and we saw that he had growth hormone, the one that it is not growing well. His journey was tough because even I remember sometimes even in school, he's being bullied by some kids. He's called "you're like baby," those kind of things. Now sometimes even just come those days, he just come home like, "Hey, mommy, people are just calling me a baby." Now I told him, now as he continues, I just continue giving him hope that if at all you're just like that, just know that your God is there and God knows what he has for you and why he created you that.
Coming up after the break.
Just hold space. We all tend to not know what to say when grief is involved.
Self-care is deliberate activities that we look at that focuses on your physical, mental, social, and spiritual aspect.
They took the boy, they just started doing like this for him. I was just confused there, go peeping in, go peeping out, just making calls, unneeded calls.
For Irene, the heartbreak of child loss struck not once, but again and again, as we shall hear after the break. How does she summon the strength to keep going? Sometimes, life tests the strongest among us with the heaviest burdens, perhaps so that we may one day shine the light for others. And what do psychologists say about surviving a loss that feels unbearable? Stay with us and we'll be right back. And now for a short healthcare tip. To every mother who has endured the unimaginable loss of a child, you are not alone. Your grief is real, your pain is valid, and your love will never fade. Take the time you need to heal and be gentle with yourself. There is no right way to grieve, only the path that feels right for you. Lean on those who support you. Seek comfort in the memories and remember that your strength is greater than you know. You are allowed to feel, to rest, and to heal at your own pace. Your love for your child will always remain, and so will the light within you.
We are living in a lost and broken world, constantly bombarded by messages of hate and atrocities. But with God, we can overcome. Find hope and restoration on the go through life-changing shows on the Family Media app.
And then you will lose yourself and gain the world. And Jesus said, what good is it?
Get to stream Family TV and Family Radio 316 straight from your phone. Catch up on a show you missed or create video streaming playlists by saving and watching videos from our huge variety of shows at your own convenience. Download the Family Media app, available for all Android and iOS users on the Google Play Store and Apple Store respectively. Family Media, keeping Jesus on the airwaves.
Welcome back. Losing a child is a pain no mother should ever have to endure, but for Irene, that heartbreak came more than once. The weight of such loss is unimaginable, yet somehow she carries it. What next for her after losing a second child? How does she find the strength to wake up each day? And how does one begin to heal from a grief so deep? Let us speak to our psychologists as we go deeper into the topic. People who are around a mother who has lost a child, how should we handle the mother? How can we support her better?
I think the first thing to do is just hold space. We all tend to not know what to say when grief is involved, whether it's loss of a child, a parent, a sibling. Grief is just that, it's loss. And many a times we just instinctively want to say to a person, you know what, it's okay, you'll get over it, give it time. It's even closer when it's a child, perhaps one that you've been expecting or wanting for a long time, or one that you've planned for. And the last thing a parent or anybody who's gone through loss wants to hear you or from anyone is, you know, in time you'll be fine and you'll get over it. Or at one point you'll forget, because we don't. A mum or a parent, even a dad, can never forget the loss of their child. That date is always going to be remembered. The other thing is, don't be ashamed to ask that person, what do you need? Do you want me to just come and sit with you quietly? Do you need a hug? Do you need somebody to cook for you and send you food? Do you want some time alone? Do you want us to plan a day when you can go to the spa?
So true. And how long would the grief period take?
Everybody's process of grief is different. Everybody goes through all the 5 different stages of grief at a different pace, at a different rate. There are some people who are so strong and so good at burying it that you'll see in a few weeks they've gone back to work, because that's how they cope. They cope by getting busy, getting distracted, or they cope by saying, okay, I'm ready to try again, just so that that baby that they've lost could be replaced. So everyone, we're each modeled differently. We all are different in our own capacities. So everybody goes through it differently. Some people never get over it. They may go on to have other kids, but they'll never have gotten over the loss of the one that they did lose.
Next, we speak to counseling psychologist Pauline Machio.
What does self-care look like for a woman?
So self-care is deliberate activities that we look at that focuses on your physical, mental, social and spiritual aspect. And these are activities that you have to be deliberate about. So we are talking about adequate sleep, we are talking about adequate rest, we are talking about healthy diet and healthy eating. We are talking about venting out in a space where you don't feel, and engaging in rewarding activities like physical activities, because physical activities are good because we are able to produce what we call the feel-good hormones, like the endorphins that make you happy, the dopamine that make you feel, that work in the rewarding system where you're able to feel good about yourself, and more of interaction activities rather than just being indoors.
In Kenya, infant loss is deeply stigmatized, often leaving grieving mothers feeling isolated and blamed instead of supported. In the rural areas especially, there can be rejection or accusations of being cursed, barren, or responsible for the child's death due to cultural beliefs or perceived wrongdoing.
Loss of pregnancy is many a times in our society becomes the woman's thing. Like, it's pinned on her that, oh, you did something wrong, or there's something wrong with you as a woman, and that's why you didn't have this baby, or, you know, this is what is, you could have done it differently, you should not have been working, this should have been done in a traditional way or a non-traditional way. So stigma comes in many different forms.
You know, in the African culture, especially women, if you lose multiple pregnancies, we are the ones who tend to be blamed instead of being supported. So your in-laws, if there's no good support, and then some may even say you are cursed, some may even talk about things that are not there.
Unfortunately, Irene's journey of pain did not end there.
When we came to 2020, I got another pregnancy. He was a baby boy. The pregnancy was good. We moved on well, telling God thank you for another pregnancy. This boy, he was called Prince Gabriel. I delivered at Nairobi Hospital, but the time that he came, we saw he was having an issue.
Shortly after Gabriel's birth, doctors noticed an unusual placement of his urethral opening and diagnosed him with hypospadias, a condition affecting urination in boys. After multiple tests and clinic visits, they recommended surgery as the best treatment option.
I remember that moment. We went to Kenyatta. The day I arrived, when we went there, he was just looked well. And the next day I arrived, and he was taken to theater. And as a normal person, I was just waiting for good feedback.
Gabriel bravely underwent the surgery and made it through, bringing a moment of hope to his family. But beneath that hope, an unseen danger lingered.
In the morning, I can't remember the day itself, but it was 7. I remember calling the doctor, carrying my baby like this, and then I just go and tell them, I don't know what's wrong with my son. And they took the boy. They just started doing like this for him. I was just confused there. Go peeping in, go peeping out, just making calls, unneeded calls. Yani, you're just there and you're confused. One doctor came to me and told me, Irene, just call your hubby, tell him to come. When they came, that is when they broke to us the news that my son was no more. Not remembering that he was 6. He was 6 months exactly. Now here I am. Even the milk, my breasts are heavy with the milk. I was totally confused. It was a moment that I cannot even be able to explain to anyone. Through that journey, we accepted, but it's like we are 50-50. You don't know what has happened, the things that you have passed through.
Irene turned to music as a source of healing for herself and her family.
God just brought a message for me that I just grieve with singing. I love singing. I remember telling my hubby, I want just to release whatever I have through the songs. And see, I have the 2 kids. Through that journey, we went to TikTok and we started doing the challenges of gospel. We gained the followers. Our fans loved us. They loved my kids. And through that journey, that's why I realized, if at all my kid is short, if at all he is the way he is, he was loved by people, also the society. And I keep on checking of the comments, and I was so happy when I see some comments like, this is the bishop in the house. He's so good. This kid will go higher. This kid will take you to another level. I think those messages kept on making me stronger every day. Like, yes, God, I have passed through so many things, but here I am, God. You are redoing my story again. You're taking me to another level. And I remember that moment, I don't know what happened, but I got pregnant again.
Irene's pregnancy progressed smoothly and she delivered safely. But lo and behold, her new son was born with the same condition as Gabriel, her late son.
I remember even as a family now, just staying back like, no, God, this is too much. I remember the last time that last year I planned for going to Heaven's Gate prayers. I didn't know what Gabriel will eat, but yes, God, I dedicated to him on that. We stayed there for 1 week with baby Gabriel. And I remember in that Heaven's Gate, I just told God that, yes, God, I can't make it. All these things that are passing are just coming into my life. Just take over, open doors for me. I don't know how, But yes, God, I'm trusting in you. And I remember when we came out of that prayer mountain, I was relieved. I was another person. I was like, I'm refreshed and ready to take anything now will come. I just accept God's will.
Irene left the prayer center with renewed strength and a fresh sense of purpose, ready to face whatever life had in store for her.
Yes, I can tell God did it for us. And when I came back, I was now a strong lady. I was now able to share how my son is going through to my close friends, to my mom. Even I took him to my mom. Everyone knows, those that are around me now, knows what Gabriel is passing through. And Gabriel has been on this case. Now he is 27. Anytime I reach for him for a surgery, the baby is sick. Anytime we are like, no, this is the month, this is the time, he is sick. And I was like, God, now what do you want us to do? Then we just relax and tell God, God, just take over. I want you to take over in these decisions that we will make. And remember, God, that he needs this surgery to be done. And we just stayed like that. We have been praying. And remember, now is the time that we have got tell God that now God, he is 27. He wants to go to school very soon. We want now to start this journey. We are now just waiting upon the Lord and trusting God to do the necessary so that it can be done, the surgeries. We were told that they may take 4 surgeries, but we are trusting God for that.
Healing for women who have experienced child loss is not a straightforward journey. It involves the support of family, counseling therapists, medical care, and the strength found in personal faith.
Family support is important because social support is one of the greatest tickets you can have when you're going through life challenges. By that I mean social support means that they can be able to provide information or even link you to a place that you think you can get help. Because therapy is just like 1 hour session or so, but most of the time your family is what we count on.
You can't pull through it. You need help. Not only a psychological help, but you need help from your friends. People need to gather around you and tell you, look, we understand what you're going through and it's tough. And it may be normal, but not everybody takes it in their stride.
We also recovered. God was on our side. My hubby was on my side. He used to preach to me, was to give me hope, together with my family as well, from the other side.
In severe cases where just not the psychologist is able to help, but you now need the chemical help as well, and that's when the medication comes in. And that's when we work hand in hand with a clinical specialist who is able to diagnose the medication and prescribe it.
Irene's journey of healing and hope has been guided by music, transforming a simple challenge into a thriving venture. As they await their youngest son's treatment, the family finds strength in faith and new beginnings.
I remember I was also participating in Hallelujah Challenge, saying that they say that you wear that miracle. And I remember telling God, yes, God, this is your son that you have given unto us. He loves you. He knows you. He prays. Now take over his life. Now that is where now we are now, just waiting upon the Lord and trusting God to do the necessary so that it can be done the surgeries. We were told that they may take 4 surgeries, but we are trusting God for that.
The pain of losing a child never truly fades, but no mother should have to carry that burden alone. Irene's story is one of heartbreak, but also of unimaginable strength. As we mark International Women's Day, may we remember the silent struggles many women endure and offer them compassion that they deserve. Let us break the stigma, start the conversations, and stand with those who grieve. Thank you for watching Family Health. Until next time, take care.